What if we are here for a reason? What if we are part of something truly divine? A Wrinkle in Time is directed by Ava DuVernay and is starring Storm Reid, Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, Levi Miller, Derek McCabe, Chris Pine, and Gugu Mbatha-Raw. Before I delve into this review, I just want to assure everyone there will not be any plot spoilers. I also want to reiterate something I've said before in several reviews, that when I judge and analyze a movie that is based on a book or based on a previous work in another medium, I always look at it based in the medium that we're currently viewing it in. I will not be discussing the quality of the adaptation of the movie. I believe that those should be two separate discussions. This film is centered around the character of Meg Murray, who is a teenage girl who is very distraught over the sudden disappearance of her father, portrayed by Chris Pine. One day, three beings visit her and her brother and send them off on a wild adventure in order to find and rescue their father. First up, I want to say I am a huge fan of director Ava DuVernay. I love her film Selma so much. I think it was one of the best films that came out a few years ago. I really liked her documentary 13th, which is on Netflix, and I think she is an amazing filmmaker. Unfortunately for me, I was very surprised while watching this movie to see so many things that I really didn't like about it. First off, I want to say what the positives are before I get into the negatives. This film has a great thematic message. This film has wonderful themes in it that I think really are what Ava DuVernay wanted to do with this movie. Say this particular message, explore these particular themes, and what these themes are is this idea of self-importance and self-worth and self-love being very important in a young person's life, particularly that of a young girl, of a young African-American girl that the Storm Reid character is. I think you could even take that one step further and say all youth in general struggle with this idea of self-worth, of self-love, and also this idea that self-love will always beat self-hate if you are able to recognize the positives within yourself. But if you're also able to recognize your faults and make peace with them and understand that your faults are what make you who you are, as well as your positive characteristics. All of those elements are contained within the Meg Murray character, and I think Storm Reid does a fantastic job of exploring those, of going through this character's journey. Her acting is particularly great in this movie. Unfortunately, where a lot of the faults lie for me is the acting with her other young co-stars I don't think is particularly good. The young actor who portrays her younger brother is asked to do certain things that I don't think he was particularly adept at doing, although I will say that he gives it his all. He tries 100% and he commits fully to doing what he is doing on screen. Just for me personally, it doesn't really come off as being genuine. There's just a disconnect there for me. And the other young actor who's going on this journey along with Meg, I thought was given some very weak dialogue to work with, and his delivery wasn't particularly great either. I don't mean to discourage these young actors because they are young, they're probably still learning. They will develop more so over time. But for right now, in this film particularly, I didn't think they were very strong. But when it comes to the adult actors in this movie, I thought they were overall very good. Oprah, I think, is a rather underrated actress. I know a lot of people don't like her real-life persona for whatever reason, but I think she delivers a really good performance. She is dramatic when she needs to be dramatic. She adds some weight into the movie when she needs to. Mindy Kaling, I thought, was great. She's very quirky, she's very odd, she's very good. Also, Reese Witherspoon is kind of this light, almost fairy-type character. I thought she was great as well. I liked them. I thought the relationship between the Chris Pine and Storm Reid's character were both really good. There is a very strong theme of the connection between child and parent, particularly in this case, father and daughter, and how that connection really stems through the universe, how that connection is something we can't quite quantify. That's a really great element in the film as well. But what is more disrupting for me, what is more problematic for me, is that the film felt extremely messy when it came to plot structure and story structure and plot pacing and things like that. It really bothered me how messy this was because I know that Ava DuVernay can construct a film. I've seen her do it before. She is extremely adept at doing it. The first act particularly I thought was messy and was really a rough start to the film. It settled down a little bit towards the middle and third acts, but it still overall felt very disjointed. We're not given a lot of context for a lot of the elements in this film, and we're dealing with a lot of fantasy elements. Fantasy elements are extremely imaginative and inventive, and we really need to know as much information about them as possible as viewers, or else we're going to be lost. And the film utilizes a lot of great and beautiful, gorgeous, stunning CGI to give us this alien world that we've never seen before. And while that is all aesthetically gorgeous and beautiful, we don't learn much about this new world that we are watching. It really brings me to the plot pacing issue where we're just jumping from plot point to plot point. The pacing of the film is moving too quickly. We're not developing a lot of the things we need to develop, particularly when it comes to the secondary characters. Our main character of Storm Reid is fine in her development. It's her story. She should be first and foremost when it comes to any of the character development, but the others were kind of left in a little bit of a lurch. So with all that being said, I'm going to begrudgingly give this movie a 2.8 out of 5 stars. I was going into this movie with kind of high expectations because I love Ava DuVernay, but I thought this was a bit of a step back for her in her career, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop watching her movies as they come out in the future. I'm still rooting for her 100%. So that has been my review of A Wrinkle in Time. If you like this video, please check out the other videos on my channel.